there was one that, well, we just didn't have time to go through, which was inspiration and writing block, which I think it's one that we cannot avoid, because everyone that is into writing, they were there at some point. People felt the inspiration where they didn't expect. People find a place that is inspiring, and they decided to return there because it's a place that talks to their hearts. And everyone was stuck at their point of their writing endeavor. So I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about that. And this topic, I think, was your suggestion, Jeroen, if I'm not mistaken. So I need to start with you.
Well, yeah, it's funny. I'm trying to. I have had writer's block a few times, and it's actually one of the things that I found to get out of writer's block was to talk to somebody else. So I discussed the writer's block the last time with Maria, and I was able to look at it in a different way, and also because of her perspective on it. So I found in my own head that I was kind of stuck, but I wasn't actually stuck. I just needed kind of I don't know, maybe even a confidence boost or something like that. That was maybe more where I was stuck, and getting her perspective on it. And I think that's, for me, the key to get over sort of a writer's block is to either speak about it to somebody or maybe out loud to yourself, to kind of go, right, like out loud, I'm stuck here. Why am I stuck here? To go over it and speak it out loud. And therefore, you suddenly start to find yourself, either you find a solution or the person who you're speaking to gives you a solution that you didn't even think of. So that for me is one thing that I will definitely do in future. The other thing that I started to do when I have writer's block, I still try, I tackle, let's say, another paragraph, right? So say I'm stuck on one particular subject or in a page, or I can't get any further, but I need to write that day. So I'll just go and I'll go to another paragraph and just start a completely different idea, and then come back to it, to where I'm stuck. And usually by doing that, the cogs start to work in my brain, and then I can look at it with a different perspective. And sometimes I think it's not. I think as a writer, sometimes it's a lonely exercise, if you like, because you're doing it on your own. So for me, I found to talk to somebody about it and to show them, oh yeah, I'm doing this, or just talk to yourself about it. I mean, talk out loud and just go, right, look at it. That resolves it for me. Up to now, that mightn't always work, but up to now, that's been a really a good way for me to get through it. So yeah, it's kind of funny because I find you hit a writer's block and you feel real stuck. But if you don't allow yourself to be stuck, and so like you go into another paragraph, or maybe if you're writing a short story, let's say that you go to another short story or a completely different thing, then suddenly you're going, oh yeah, hang on a second. If I go back there, now I know what the answer is. And yeah, that's just kind of the way that I've worked it. It's probably not the same for everybody, but that's definitely the way I've found it to work.
Yeah, I mean, I relate to that because I think there's a huge benefit in verbalizing what's happening with us, whether it's writer's block or any other struggle, because at least we can visualize the moment we name the monster is not that scary. That's like we can see at least what kind of dragon are we facing. That's true for every sort of demon. If you think about it from a psychoanalytical point of view. Yeah. In terms of inspiration, Jeroen, is there any source that you can name, or is something more anonymous?
Yeah, so I have inspiration from kind of various places. Weirdly enough, recently I've had quite a lot of inspiration from dreams. So I have a very, very vivid dreams. I mean, my dreams are like in full color and like watching a movie, like really vivid. So I don't always remember them though, but the ones that I do, I would wake up the next day and kind of go, "Ooh, that's a cool idea. I'm going to put that in there," or I'll put an element in it. So from dreams, I'm definitely taking some inspiration, and then um, I guess like I I don't really have a plan around my story, or I have a very broad plan, if you like, but I've already sort of taken a few different angles to it. So I'm working on two different stories at the same time. So it's kind of the inspiration is almost coming from that. I'll just go, oh, hang on, that'd be cool to put in there, or that's a bit of an angle or different or not expected or whatever. So I'll be writing and then I'll be thinking of something that's coming, maybe another 3 paragraphs down the road, and I kind of go, oh, actually, that's a cool idea. I need to write that down. So I stop writing and I go further down the page and I write down a quick sentence, quick kind of thing of, oh yeah, I don't know, something in there, and then I can come back to that. So sometimes I'm getting inspired while I'm writing, but a lot of the time these days, I'm taking some inspiration from my dreams, which is kind of interesting. I wake up in the morning, and actually, that's a funny thing as well, because that happened to me the last time when I had a writer's block the last time, not too long ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. I went to sleep and I was a bit sort of, I don't know, caught up in the idea, and dreamt. And in the morning, I was like, I know exactly what I need to do now. So it was really funny how the dream actually made me go, oh, I know what the next sentence is, or that bit that I was stuck on. So I was like, yeah, allow that to come through, allow that to channel, and use the dream kind of as an inspiration or as a source, if you like. So yeah, that's kind of where I get a lot of it from. And I have to admit as well, I mean, I get inspiration as well from seeing things, or experiencing things, or things that I have experienced in my life or seen in my life. Then sometimes I use that experience, let's say, as a way of saying, oh, that I'll bring that into the story. That's interesting. That's a different look on it, or whatever. So yeah, I get inspired by many different things. But yeah, recently a lot by dreams. So yeah, it's interesting.
Maria, is inspiration something you pursue? Is there a specific material, or you just let it happen?
Yeah, I mean, for me, writer's block is a lifestyle at this stage. It's just me not taking the time and sit down because I think I don't have anything to say now. I don't have a good idea. So I would sit down and I would write what exactly. But every time I've actually sat down, even if I'm not inspired at all, I don't feel motivated, something always happens because I just think, I'll describe an item, or I'll say 2 characters are talking about a very random thing. And it's sort of continues from there. Sometimes I will use this material into the main story, or sometimes it's just a little bit of an exercise that will make me think something. But and I dream very vividly as well, but unfortunately it hasn't helped a lot to this point. It was the entire plot of my second book, and I say second as if I finished the first, which I haven't, but I dreamt about the plot of the second one, but that's pretty much where it stopped for me. So where I get my inspiration is from my, I don't know, inner black cat, I guess, because I do this thing. I don't know if it's normal or if someone should say something in the comments that help me. But when I walk and I notice people, I always think, what could happen here? Like someone is carrying a big grocery bag. I'm thinking, what if it rips? Like a child plays with a ball. What if it, crashes into that window? So this sort of, it's like training your brain into all those different scenarios that are not happening. I feel it's a very good exercise to entertain different possibilities. especially, because my style is always, dark and things are happening and stuff. The worst case scenario, or something that's not, all rosy and flowers and happiness, it sort of helps me, because I think some of the, apart from the main story that you main have, where the characters saying really important things, I think you have to think of your story as a whole. Like, there's people go on an epic adventure, for example, but they will stop because they're hungry. They will have an argument over nothing because they're tired. They will, want to fix their socks because it's off their ankles and it's, impacting the way they walk. So when I pay attention to those things that happen in real life, or that I think could happen, I sort of feel it feeds the reality of what I write, because otherwise, it would be a collection of important things happening. So short stories. And I think that would be boring. So for me, that's a very big thing. Like, notice what's happening. If lights are flickering, even in, my own place, or if someone says something, I will usually think of something along the lines of what happened, and then it might actually find its way through the story to, albeit into a more extreme version, a more exaggerated scenario of what I witnessed or what I thought could happen. But I don't know, I feel just, looking outside in the world, or even sitting down and looking around, finding items, finding these scenarios of, I don't know, I have a vase right there that I'm looking at. What if it tips and it falls over the cardboard and everything gets wet? Like, this sort of thing, I think it helps you move past the block, because for me, the block is essentially, I have nothing to say, but there's always something to say, even a little description, even a silly dialogue, a small accident. So once you get going, it's difficult to stop.
Yeah, so it seems that we all have pets here. So sorry, just to divert a bit the topic. We all have pets. We all have cats. To be more precise, I think I need to open a new section within this YouTube channel called Witty Pets. How about that?
Well, that would be fantastic. No, I'm always the black cat in this scenario. I'm always the one who, try to move the glass past the table. So I don't know if anyone knows that this is, I don't know, a condition that I should look into, perhaps, and it's not. It's an excuse, and it's not a writing genius or whatever. Please say something.
Yeah, come on, it's plastic. The writer and the cat. It's not more plastic than that.
That would be a short story there of someone going mad. I love that. Why should I write that? Thank you, Peter.
Cats are vital, guys. Actually, as a matter of fact, I just tried a new project a few days ago that I'm not going to reveal because it's not off the ground yet. And the kind of way that they ask you for a photo, a bio, and I did provide that. Photo of myself, a bio. And you know what they asked me that they believed was missing there? The name of my cat.
It's important to mix
Yeah.
the right expressions.
Can we get the name of your cat? And I'm like, I thought it was my bio. Yeah, but that's essential. Yeah, I'm not making this up. I mean, I was sending a screenshot of the WhatsApp message. Oh, I couldn't believe. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We need to be prepared for everything.
Here's the inspiration. Yeah. In terms of writer's block, how do you approach that when that happens, Marie? Is there a strategy? Is also something that you let it go spontaneously?
I just make myself sit down, and then I will write about literally anything. But I think for me, the writer's block is not, and I don't know if I've entered another realm of what writer's block is, but for me, it's not the sitting down and having nothing to say. I don't find that as scary as myself blocking the sitting down and the actual writing, because I stop before I even sit down, which is stupid. But I think that's my process. If I will, try to make myself sit down and write. Like yesterday is a good example, actually. I was thinking, I really need to say that I've moved in this podcast, that I've written a bit since the last time we spoke, and it hadn't gone as well as I had hoped. So I sat down yesterday and I said, okay, I'm going to write a bit now so that I can say, yes, I've written since the last time, just admitting that. And I sat down thinking, I'll write a couple of sentences just to say, I hit a little bit of a more bigger milestone. I wrote 1,000 words non-stop. It just sit down and do it. Yeah, and it was Good. I mean, I'll review that obviously, and I'll change my mind about it in a couple of days as it happens. But it was a solid 1,000 words of completely new material that I added to the story, and I even went to a previous chapter that was not going anywhere, in my opinion. I thought, okay, it's like they find themselves in a big snowstorm, and they're walking through it. I was just describing how difficult it is to get through that because they really need to, get out of it and arrive somewhere in time. And I had stopped there. And yesterday I thought, this is what's going to happen. And I think with fiction as well, I don't know if this is the category that faces the hardest writer's block or whatnot, but because whatever happens to your story and to your characters depends on you, you're the biggest danger to those people. Like, you have to move this, it's not going to move itself. And the other story that I'm writing, which is, again, it's fiction, but it's more, I'm drawing a bit on my personal life, so I know where some things will go. I find it a bit easier. The difficult thing there is to make sure that I get the order in a way that makes sense, or that what the people say helps the story. So that part is more about the creativity of it. In fiction, the story is not going to move itself. You have to make decisions. You have to sit down, and of course, you can change your mind as many times as you want, I guess. But it's the no, I don't think anyone has a story from A to Z. They know how it's going. They know exactly what people are going to say, what's going to happen. So if you let the block get to you and prevent you from either sitting down and staring at the screen, it's just a waste of time, really. For me, the best advice I guess I could give someone is, I don't know, you're holding a pen, describe it. And that usually helps move past it. Any piece of something you create is not a waste, in my opinion. It's exercise. You can add it, like, I don't know, you think of the pen, you could think, what if this pen starts talking to me? Like silly things like that. So you're sort of forcing your inspiration, sort of forcing your creativity to literally speak back to you if that's the scenario you're going for. So I don't know, just sit down and do it. It sounds harsh and so predictable, but when it comes to writing, I think it's everything.